But today I'd like to talk to you about colocation.
Well, colocation in its simplest form is real estate for you to host your systems and get connectivity to your infrastructure to help essentially get you out of the hardware business, maybe get your infrastructure out of your corporate office and into a place that gives you more features.
When operating in the public cloud, costs can be very volatile, very dynamic. Whereas with colocation environment, it's much more of a predictable cost structure. Why is that the case?
Really, they've done all the hard work of how many dollars per square foot does it take for me to make a viable business and really rent this real estate back out to companies. And that just reduces your costs down to a fraction of what it is to do it, to have your own data center.
The biggest focal point from both the end user side and what senior leadership cares about is the performance of their company's mission critical application. What would be maybe some of the benefits of having an environment in a data center?
Well, that data center provider is like a carrier hotel, not just one provider or two providers, probably 10 with different pathways coming into the building with different types of technologies, not just say MPLS or internet. They might have Ethernet services or private fiber in between their data centers to enable some different types of services to make things more efficient. Get your systems and your applications closer to where your users or your customers are trying to access that, which speeds up what you're trying to do.
Something that we think is far too common with corporate evaluations when it comes to colocation, managed services element, rack, space, power, connectivity. There's also a lot that has to be done, and whether it's patch management or
I was going to say simply just moving a data center is no fun task. When you have a provider that has some services like infrastructure as a service or disaster recovery as a service, it can help make that transition from your private data center to a colocation center. The least amount of downtime, the least amount of business interruption, reducing that risk kind of helps you get moved in faster, and then can it offset or augment some of your existing processes and make them more robust.
Does every data center offer managed services?
No.
Whether organizations have specific compliance requirements or just want to better protect their assets, are there any advantages to having my data in a colocation compared to on-prem or a public cloud environment?
Availability. These data center providers all have redundancy, which makes your systems more available. So they've included it as a value add for all their clients because they know the cost of downtime is too much and they want to stand different from their competition.
Okay, so now I want to give you a sneak peek into some of the tools and resources that our clients get to leverage when they work with C3. So this is our tool called Pathfinder. Our clients have access to all the features and functionality within this, as well as all the intellectual property that comes along with it. First, I just want to give you a broad view of some of the capabilities of this tool. We have access to where all the public clouds and hyperscalers are throughout the world: Azure, AWS, and Google, as well as nuclear reactor risks. I can select a specific provider and immediately identify all of their data center locations throughout the world. And here, in a matter of seconds, we can immediately identify every single Equinix facility throughout the world. I can click on any of these physical data centers and immediately see all of the vitals on that fiber providers, the compliance certifications. Okay, so Ryan, let's look at a specific example. So maybe there was a company that was looking to decommission their own data center, move into a colo facility. Or maybe they're looking for a DR facility. We can do a vicinity search from 25 miles all the way to 200 miles. I'm just going to type in Atlanta, Georgia, a little under 30 data centers within a 25-mile radius. Now, instead of evaluating the entire marketplace and talking to countless amounts of salespeople, this tool allows you to put in your criteria, your requirements, and ethically pit the entire marketplace against each other in a matter of seconds. So I'm going to put in some examples. So maybe you needed colocation services and you want direct connect to AWS. Maybe it has to be a tier 3 data center and your company has to comply with SOC 3. So in a matter of seconds, I just narrowed down almost 30 data centers to 2. We can even identify costs for power. So by state, this tells you the cost per kilowatt kilowatt per hour per rack for every state throughout the country.
So one use case for an international or a global to move your data center is the UK and Brexit. Organizations who may be co-located in Amsterdam are now looking at London and seeing what are the data centers that are available in London, and how can I connect them back to the rest of my environment.
So here we have 80 data centers in London, and maybe you were thinking about running a major application from one of these colocation facilities. We can even run a ping test from anywhere in the world and determine the round trip latency from your location to that international facility. So then from here, this produces a latency histogram, which shows the average round trip latency from multiple ping tests from my location to that particular data center. So if you were considering maybe running a major application out of one of these co-location facilities, and you can compare multiple data centers up against each other and compare the round trip latency in real time. So after you put in your company's requirements, you're left with a nice narrow subset of providers you know can meet your criteria. It really is insane how much some companies have paid other consulting firms to just do all this research, and it takes them months. And with a tool like this, we're able to produce these results in a matter of minutes. So Ryan, here I've drilled into a specific co-location address and brought up all of the fiber providers that are lit in this particular facility.
And the thing that really comes to mind here is diverse paths for your internet. If you have a data center like this that has all these different providers, you're using their blended internet, you're still going to be up and going because they've got all these different providers and different paths into the building. Yeah, so Kyle, this is an example of a custom evaluation matrix for co-location that we've done. Already used the data center locator tool to identify the right providers and the locations, put together the client's individual requirements for power and connectivity, put them all together, and as you can see, we lay all the pricing out side by side, try to identify all the right components to make it really an easy experience to select where to put your infrastructure.